When you think about human belief, it's just this chaotic, messy landscape, right? A huge mix of ideas, stories, and entire worldviews all crashing into each other. But what if there was a way to find some order in all that chaos? Well, today, we're diving into a framework that's designed to do just that, to literally map the structure of belief itself. Let's get into it. So to really get a handle on just how massive this challenge is, look at this number. That's 252 raised to the power of 252. It's a number with about 605 digits. Now, for perspective, the estimated number of atoms in the entire known universe, that only has about 80 digits. According to the source, this gigantic number represents the possible patterns for just a single, coherent belief system. It's mind-bogglingly huge. So, that's the real question, isn't it? When you're dealing with a complexity so vast that no two people ever really occupy the exact same state of belief, how do you even start to make a map? How do you chart a universe that is, for all intents and purposes, totally infinite? Well, the answer isn't to try and list every single belief out there. I mean, that's impossible. Instead, this framework proposes something much, much smarter, a kind of periodic table, but for ideas. Yeah, the source calls it this, and honestly, the metaphor is perfect. The goal isn't to catalog every complex compound or worldview. The goal is to find the fundamental, irreducible building blocks, the elements, that all ideas are made of. So here's the key takeaway. Just like how hydrogen and oxygen can combine to form water, ice, vapor, and countless other things, these 252 states are the atomic elements of belief. They represent core concepts. From harmony to conflict, from the material to the spiritual. A person's worldview is just a unique molecule built from these basic elements. And this framework gives us a way to break any belief system down to see what it's really made of. Okay, so where in the world does a number like 252 even come from? It's not random. To understand it, we've got to break it down into its parts. And we're going to start with its first major component, the number 36. So this number, 36, which you get from squaring the number 6, is said to represent the entire landscape of our subjective human experience. You can think of it like a map of our inner world. It charts everything from states of pure self-interest all the way to states of deep connection with a community. It's every possible internal judgment we can make about our place in the world. And this is where it gets really fascinating. This idea of a fixed number of inner states, it echoes through all these ancient systems. The Egyptians had their 36 decans, these deities that governed fate. You see mythological rivers of judgment showing up in completely different cultures. It's almost like there's a deep, recurring human intuition that our inner moral world has some kind of hidden structure. Okay, so if the 36 states are our subjective inner world, that's only half the equation, right? They need something to be measured against. That brings us to the second and even more fundamental piece of this framework, the number 7. The number 7, according to the source, represents the complete set of objective contexts, or realities. A simpler way to think about it is that these are the fundamental arenas of life where our beliefs actually play out. So contexts like the self, the family, the community, the natural world. These are the absolute, fixed conditions against which those 36 subjective states are judged. They're like the 7 notes in a musical scale or the 7 colors in the rainbow of our moral universe. And again, just like we saw with the number 36, this number 7 just pops up everywhere. Across cultures, we intuitively use it to represent a complete system. You've got the continents and seas, the colors of the rainbow, the notes in a musical scale. It almost always signifies a natural, complete, whole structure, which just reinforces its role here as the foundation of the entire system. All right, so now we have the two key parts. We've got the subjective and the objective. We've got the human experience and the structural context. And when you put them together, well, that's when you finally get the complete moral universe. And there it is. This is the simple but brilliant core of the framework. You take the 7 fundamental, objective contexts, like family or community, and you see how each one of the 36 subjective states of the soul plays out within that context. Multiply them together, and you get 252 total moral states. That's it. That's the complete map of every possible interaction between our inner world and our outer reality. But the real power here isn't just in the elegant math, it's in what the source calls the hum of the system. Just look at how this number shows up in other places. In biblical prophecy, 252 is a harmonic of a great cycle of judgment. In Hindu cosmology and Egyptian astrology, the math also leads you straight to 252 as a number signifying completion. The argument is that these ancient systems weren't just inventing these numbers, they were all independently discovering the same deep structural pattern that this framework now makes crystal clear. Even the prime factors here are said to be loaded with meaning, combining these deep principles of duality, divinity, and spiritual perfection. It all points to a system that's designed for a kind of profound balance. So, okay, we have this really elegant, really resonant system. But what is it for? Why go to all the trouble of building this map? What's the point? The source describes the purpose with another incredible metaphor. For all of human history, we've been struggling with a type mismatch, a fundamental translation problem. It's the problem of translating between the language of systems and order and the messy, chaotic language of human experience. And this framework, it's meant to be the Rosetta Stone that finally lets us translate between the two. So at the end of the day, this whole thing is an analytical tool. By figuring out which of the 252 states a particular idea or worldview triggers, we can get this incredibly high-precision look at its internal structure. It lets us see beyond the surface-level arguments and look directly at the fundamental code running underneath it all. And that leaves us with this final thought. Maybe the chaos of human belief isn't really random at all. Maybe there are invisible strings, these deep patterns that are governing how we think and what we believe. And if that's true, what would change if we could finally see those strings clearly?